Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kara.
So, Kara, did you guys do anything this weekend at all?
Yeah, we went to the castle. We had the castle stay this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in West Virginia again.
Out West Virginia.
And how was your castle stay? Did you see anything strange, unusual, or paranormal while you were there?
No, it was fun, though. We saw some deer. We walked around at night.
That's cool.
Just a random castle it used to be a barn and they turned it into like a castle or whatever. Yeah. You could like walk around the farm and stuff.
Ah, neat.
Check out everything. Basically, they were like, yeah, you can just walk around and explore. Just don't go in any building you don't have permission to be in.
Okay, that to me would send up a red flag, and I'd
like,
go
there's
check it
other
out,
Airbnbs.
That's where the dead bodies are.
But there's other Airbnbs.
Okay.
There's like a few Airbnbs all on that property. If that makes sense.
Okay, never mind. All right, now I gotcha.
The place we stayed, they had done some updates, which is kind of cool. And we got to stay, because we've been there a second time, they gave us access to like some secret rooms you're not normally allowed access to, which is cool.
That's pretty cool. Neat.
Yeah. There was a kitchen, a secret kitchen, that's what we call it.
Huh.
And then they had 2 extra bathrooms, because it's like an event venue, so it has like, it's kind of cool.
Cool. And what's the name of the place you stayed at in case anybody wants to check it out on Airbnb?
It's called, so if you go on their, Windy Acres is what the farm's called. It's West Virginia. It's near Charleston for a location. I mean, it's a pretty cool getaway
nice.
If you like to play D&D. It's a good venue for that, or if you like to take photos like I do. Yeah, we're currently looking for a wedding venue for myself, so it's what most of our conversations
got any ideas?
Nowadays. If you have any cool wedding venues that are
exactly.
semi-close to Cincinnati and Columbus.
And if you know any DJs in Columbus, shoot us an email, because we're looking for a DJ in Columbus.
Or who might be willing to travel if they're a little bit out of Columbus.
So we had the Pumpkin Festival this weekend, and
Did you go?
I unfortunately had the job. Oh, yeah. And I had to help park cars for both mornings, which sucked. But, so we did that. And then Sam played on the varsity game on Saturday afternoon. So we watched. He
actually played in it?
And he dressed for it, so it was still a big deal for him. And then Sunday, we were parking cars again. So that was basically my whole weekend was the Pumpkin Festival and Sam's football.
It's exciting.
Right? Nothing but fun things for me.
Oh, I forgot to tell you about this. This is related. So Thursday night, we stayed at Savannah's parents' house, okay?
Yeah.
It was pretty normal. We got there kind of late, so they're all asleep. And then I woke up in the middle of the night because they were leaving for work at like 7 a.m. or whatever. And then everything left, and it was pretty normal. And then a few days later, while we were in the castle, Savannah gets a call from her mom, and her mom apparently saw like a full body apparition in their freaking house.
Oh, that's
like just
creepy.
A shadow person just standing in their hallway. Like she woke up in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's creepy.
And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Why would this? We literally just stayed there like a few nights ago. What the heck?
Maybe they didn't like you staying there."
Maybe. I was like, "What?" Apparently, her house is haunted, but it hasn't been like they haven't really seen any activity like in a while. But I guess
something must have happened.
I was like, of course.
I was gonna say something had to have happened to trigger it to get started.
Yeah, her mom called her super freaked out. It was super wild.
Yeah, I bet. I would have.
Her mom has had a lot of experiences like that.
I would be pretty freaked out.
More so in their old house, not their newer house.
Oh, this is their newer house? It's not the old one that used to have activity? Oh, I didn't realize that.
No, the other house I think Savannah said it was condemned.
Oh, wow.
It's all out of commission. They don't go there anymore.
Yeah. Huh.
It was old.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
Totally forgot about that.
That's
but I was like, oh, that was so crazy. It happened like a few days after.
After you were just there. I know. That is crazy.
I was like, what the heck?
That is nuts. Huh.
I know. Yes, spooky stuff was going on, even if it wasn't exactly
right what you thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started this week. I'm actually, I'll go first. I'm doing my story is actually based off a true story. It's based off the Netflix Spanish horror movie called Veronica. But it's actually a true story that happened in Spain in like 1991 through like 1994. The Spanish horror film called Veronica basically tells the story of the mystery of a girl named Estefania Lazaro, who died in Madrid in 1991 after she had reportedly made her own Ouija board, sound like somebody we know, and made contact with something and ended up like going freaking crazy, like nutso from it and stuff, and actually got committed into a psychiatric ward after it all was said and done. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. It gets even crazier after that. What was so interesting about this story, besides all that, was that this was like the first time in Spain that they had on record that a police officer came out and actually said that they had paranormal activity. Like, it's actually documented that this police officer said, that they had paranormal activity. And what the activity was that this particular officer and some of the other officers on the force had witnessed was an armoire door opened while they were in the house inspecting it or whatever on its own. And then there was a crucifix of Jesus that was on the wall, like a lot of people have, where Jesus is attached to the cross. And they said that the Jesus separated from the wood cross, the little statue separated from the wood cross. So our story begins in the early 1990s when 18-year-old Estefania notices an odd change in their daughter's behavior. They were worried because she started suffering hallucinations and convulsions, and she would burst into these uncontrollable rages. And she would start like barking like a dog. She would growl at people. She would hiss at her brothers. And she was told the family that she was seeing shadows move around in her room at night. So the family was concerned, obviously. So they took her to several doctors who were quite puzzled about her condition. And they couldn't find an explanation of why she was acting so bizarre, like why she was barking like a dog and all that stuff. So after several months of no explanation for what was going on, she was admitted to a hospital in Madrid to be further evaluated to see if they could figure out what was going on. But they could find nothing physically wrong with her. Like, everything was, they ran all the tests, everything was fine. It was just that her health was starting to deteriorate. And she was having these seizures, and they kept growing stronger and stronger. She was having hallucinations about stuff. She was talking to people that were not there, and it just kept going on and on. So after 3 weeks of being in the hospital under all these observations, they found her lifeless in the bed. She didn't have any wounds on her body anywhere. They don't know how she died, and she just simply stopped breathing. And the official autopsy report that they did on her, they reported it as being a heart attack. So after she died, her family kind of struggled with her death because it was so bizarre that she would, die so young and healthy and no underlying condition for her to have this heart attack. So they started brooding. So they had known, though, that while all this was going on, or before all this happened, that she had been reading several books about the occult and spiritualism. And then a couple of months later, after she had passed away, school officials came forward and told the family that Estefania and some of her friends had been toying with a homemade Ouija board in the field behind the school. And according to the girls, the idea was her idea. It wasn't their idea. Like, it was all hers. So the girls described how they would use a clear upside down glass as the pointer, and they would each place a finger on the bottom of the glass and began asking questions to the spirits. But according to the girls, at one point the glass flew across the board all on its own, and it shattered into pieces. A nun was the one that had caught the girls doing this behind the building, And she took away the board and broke it in two. The nun questioned the girls, and they found out that it was Stefania that had, started doing this. Although the girls said they did not make any contact with the dead, that they did see a mysterious dark puff of smoke appear when they were contacting spirits and stuff. And they said that it would hover over the board and then it would go towards Stefania. So after her death, the family started to experience a bunch of strange things that started happening to them. At first, they began to hear disembodied voices whispering, "Mama, Mama." Yeah, right? Can you imagine? Your daughter's just dead, and then all of a sudden you're hearing, somebody whisper, "Mama, Mama" to you, that's creepy.
I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah, and wait, it gets weirder. So not only were they hearing the voice of the daughter saying, "Mama, Mama," but the voice was coming from the daughter's room, like her old room that she lived in.
Ooh.
Yeah. So when the family opened the door, it was from her bathroom, they said. And when they opened the door to the bathroom, there was nobody in there. It was like completely empty. So,
I don't like that.
Nope, I don't like that either. That would creep me out. So the family ended up keeping her room clean and tidy, but every couple of days they would enter the room to find that the bed sheets had been thrown around the room and that objects that had been placed on shelves and stuff were scattered all over the floor. They would also start to hear scrapes along the walls around and sounds of like cackling laughter coming from the ceiling. Okay, I don't know about you, but if I'm hearing all this, I'd be moving out of that house.
Yeah. I'd be like, all right, we're done here.
I don't see this going any better for them. So the situation continued to get worse, apparently, for the family. They had more echoing sounds of laughter going on, which started off as laughter and then would turn into this very loud wailing sound. And then they would hear loud banging noise, like somebody was taking their fist and just banging repeatedly on the wall. And it almost sounded to the point they thought where they were going to punch through the wall. They said lights and appliances in the house would switch on and off.
Don't like that.
Nope. And doors would begin to open by themselves. And like nobody would be there. Yeah.
That reminded me
of
the castle I stayed at.
Yeah.
The bathroom was really scary.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe this, but it was like freaking us out. Like it just kind of reminded me of this.
Yeah.
So basically, you know how I told you there was like 2 extra bathrooms that they allowed us access to?
Right.
Well, they looked like just like a school. They had stalls in them.
Okay, right. It's like a bathroom. Yeah, school.
And every time I would go in there,
yeah.
I would feel like I was like back in school. Just because you wouldn't expect to use a stall.
Right.
In
a nice place, right?
No, like you wouldn't use a stall and I'm an Airbnb, like in my own space.
Right.
It feels weird, right?
Yeah. That is weird. But
I don't know, but we were all freaked out about using that bathroom.
But you said it was like, they also used it though for like a venue. So I would assume that's why they had to have so many bathrooms.
That's why they have those.
Right.
But it was just because sometimes if someone was using the other, like the normal bathroom that looked like a normal bathroom.
Yeah.
I would like go back there and it's like in the complete back side of the castle.
Huh.
So like you would just have to go there alone and it's just like
that's scary. The walk of shame.
In a stall bathroom.
Yeah.
The walk of shame in the back side of the castle and you're going there and you're just like, this is it just because the whole rest of the decor is like castle themed and you walk into like a normal looking bathroom.
Huh. That's weird.
It was just very it just randomly reminded me because we were all freaked out to go into that bathroom.
That's crazy.
But I would keep going there because I was like, I feel like I'm being transported. Don't ask questions.
Okay. Anyway.
That was my thrill seeking. Anyways.
Anyway.
I don't know, we were talking about weird
weird stuff going on indoors and stuff. So
yeah, it just reminded me of that.
So the family, at this time, after, all this crazy stuff's going on, they start to place furniture, like large pieces of furniture, like couches and stuff like that, in front of the doors because they keep banging and, opening and shutting on their own, and they're getting really aggravated by it. To no avail, though, the family would hear the sound of like a huge wind, and the handles of the doors would turn, and the furniture would be moved away from the door so that it could open and shut. Including the sofa, which is like totally crazy. They said in one instance, the door burst open, knocking a photo of a smiling Estefania from a shelf onto the floor. When her mother picked up the picture, she dropped it suddenly, and her father, who was puzzled, reached to pick up the photo and stopped when he saw the photo paper ignite, burning through the face of Estefania. So soon after that, family members said they began to see huge, strange, dark humanoid creatures moving quietly around the house. One of Estefania's sisters described the encounter with the mysterious creature. She says, "We heard a whistling sound like one other night, and then a groan near the door. We were so scared, we were frozen. It was then that we noticed something on the floor. As the light from the streetlights would enter our bedroom and light it up, it was the shape of a man crawling, dragging itself along the floor. He had a black head, no eyes, no mouth, nothing. It was crawling towards us, and we started to scream. It was then that the toys we had on a shelf started to be thrown violently toward the other wall, one by one. And then we heard bangs and shouts." That's pretty messed up. I don't know about you, but if I saw some weird humanoid thing creeping along the floor, I would be out of there. Yeah, I would be screaming and I'd be out of there. I'd be putting the house up for sale that night. So the family went on to not only witness to the strange events, but visiting neighbors could also confirm all these stories. And they also had claims of seeing the shadows and how they would skitter along the walls in the home. And they would see toys and other objects fly off shelves and stuff. Sometimes they would fly off the shelves with hard enough force to embed the object into the wall. That's scary. That's dangerous when we're getting to that kind of level of stuff. Yep. So the events hit a high note, or I guess a low note, if you want to call it that, in 1992. Estefania's mother awoke in the middle of the night, and she was feeling pressure on top of her. According to Mrs. Lazaro, "I felt a pair of hands grab my feet and then grab my arm." Mrs. Lazaro's terrifying attack in the middle of the night prompted the family first to call the local authorities. So the police arrived at the home at 2:40 a.m. and were greeted by a terrified family who burst outside and babbling about loud bangs, booms, and other noises. So this is where I was telling you about the police officers and how this was the first time that it had ever been documented in Spain by an actual police officer stating that they witnessed a paranormal event. So when they entered the home, the door of a closed armoire opened, and in a sudden and totally unnatural way. Then a crucifix statue of Jesus separated from its cross, like I had told you earlier. So the police sat down and started to fill out the report. And when they sat down with the family, you could see and hear how a perfectly shut cupboard door would open and shut. They checked the door. It was perfect. It moved in an anti-natural way. Moments later, we saw a tablecloth on a small telephone table become stained by a brown substance that the inspector identified as almost drool-like. When we checked the bedrooms of the house, we saw a wooden cross spun upside down, and the metal Christ upon it was ripped off. One of the daughters then placed the cross behind the door on a poster. Then, in the same moment, there appeared 3 nail-marked scratches on the poster. So later that night, one of the officers was approached by a local news station, and they did some on-scene interviews. And he describes what happened when he entered Estefania's bedroom. He says it was a small bedroom with twin beds. The father told us that sometimes when he and his little son were sitting on the bed, his son was picked up and thrown onto the other bed in a flying move. I sat down in the same bedroom to see if anything would happen. We heard a terrible scream behind us, which came from a small balcony. I quickly opened the door and ran out to see if I could see anything. But there was nothing. No falling stones. Nothing. It was 2:30 in the morning, and the noise was dreadful. When I first entered the room, I noticed there had been a large wooden crucifix on the wall. Hanging off of it was a small pearly crucifix like the one children get at their first Holy Communion. There was also a poster, but a few minutes later, the crucifix had been turned upside down, and the little crucifix was on the floor, and the poster and the door had 3 or 4 deep scratches in it.
Wow.
Yeah, but after that night, they finally decided they had enough. And
Yeah, I don't blame 'em.
yeah, and they basically moved to a different location in Spain. And they said that once they moved out of that home, that they never experienced any type of paranormal activity again after that.
Have you seen the movie before?
I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it. I need to go rewatch it again. It's really scary. Did you see it? Okay, yeah. It's pretty scary.
I thought it sounded familiar, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, that is the movie I saw.
Yeah. I think it came out, I want to say like 2 years ago, didn't it?
I thought I saw 2018.
Okay, well, it came out a few months.
But still recently.
Yeah,
pretty
recent. So check it out if you want. It's called Veronica. If you're looking for a good horror movie to watch the next couple of weeks with Halloween coming up.
It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. So check it out.
That's why I was like, yeah, so if you have Netflix.
Yep. Definitely check it out. All right, so what do you got for us this week?
Since I was in West Virginia the past literal 2 weekends.
2 weekends.
I decided to do a West Virginia
Although
topic.
technically we've been there 4 times, like you've been there at least 4 times in the last month because we went to the Mothman Festival and then
we also went to Mothman.
2 weeks after that we went to the West Virginia State Penitentiary too.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So yeah, we've been there. Yeah, I know, a ton. We might as well move to West Virginia at this point. But anyway, carry on. So what you got?
So we're going to talk about the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park that's now abandoned.
Yeah, this place is spooky. Oof.
I know, this place is spooky. So it's located in Princeton, West Virginia, and the park was opened in 1926, and it operated until 1967. So legend has it that the land the amusement park is built on was rumored to be the site of a massacre of a land dispute in the mid-1700s. Mitchell Clay was the owner of the land, and in August of 1783, 11 Native Americans crept on the edge of a field, shot and killed his son, Bartley, and then this alerts the family, and his daughter was killed and dismembered, and then their other son, Ezekiel, was captured.
Dang.
So Mitchell returned home and found his 2 dead children and gathered a group to pursue the Native Americans. A few were killed as they chased them across, but some did survive, and they escaped to Chillicothe, where they burned Ezekiel at the stake. Which is kind of dark.
Yeah,
and
that is kind of dark.
In 1926, C.T. Snido purchases the land and begins developing a small amusement park. The amusement park gains popularity with families of local coal miners, because West Virginia, coal mining state. It's very popular there. The park featured a Ferris wheel, swing ride, a racetrack, and dance hall, concession stands, and a lake for swimming and ice skating. And this was kind of...
Sounds nice. Yeah.
I mean, it is nice, because, a lot of West Virginia towns are kind of rural, pretty rural. Right, so this seems like this would be, the big thing that all the families would go to. Yeah. Especially in the 1920s. This was, during the roaring 20s,
Right, yeah. Something fun to go take the kids to go do.
Basically, especially... They're coal miners, so there's not a lot around there.
Right.
So a concrete pool was later added in 1927. And by 1950s, they also had hiking trails, a shooting range, a golf and driving range, and some cabins, little chalets you can rent. But by 1966, the couple who owned the park were elderly, and they had lost interest in maintaining the property for tourists. So they kind of just let it go. Let it kind of... And there was a proposal that the land would be acquired by the state and then redeveloped for use by the Boy Scouts in the area. This is proposed. But then on July 6, 1967, the Mercer Health Department shut down the park until they could comply with health regulations, mainly aimed at cleaning the swimming pool and installing filters and removing debris from the pool. So... Gaylord White purchased the abandoned park with plans to reopen the park. So the park does reopen. It reopens in 1987, but then it closes in 1988. After an archaeological dig uncovered Native American artifacts and human remains. They found 13 skeletons. Which is kind of a lot. So basically this is a burial ground they discovered.
Yeah,
especially with all the history of the land prior. So there were the rumored deaths. There are rumored to be 6 deaths specifically children, that happened while the amusement park was going on during like the 40 years. Yeah, so in
like they died on rides or whatever.
A mother dropped her son off at the park in the morning,
gotcha.
And after returning, she could not find him. The workers later discovered him dead in the pool. And there were some claims that his arm got stuck in a drain, and he was unable to come up for air. So that's fun.
Oh.
And then after the incident, the pool was
Dear
filled
God.
with sand.
That sounds
they couldn't
awful.
use it anymore.
Yeah.
And then there was also a rumor that there was a girl riding the swings. Like, you know the swings from, like, Kings Island? That one where you, like... So, they had, like, those back in the day.
Yeah.
And
Zephyr or whatever
while
they
this
call
little
it.
girl was riding it, a truck who was happened to be, like, unloading, ended up backing up too far and literally just drove into the swings and killed her.
Oh my God.
Really
that sounds awful.
Today, people actually report having interactions with this little girl on the swings.
Oh, is she the one that they say that you can see the swings moving?
Her
and
swing
that's
is marked today by a red ribbon. So, like, they still have the original swing set that she allegedly died.
Oh, is the ribbon original too,
Someone
or
marked
is that
it so
just
that people
somebody
would
tied
know
that on there
which
years
one.
later after it happened?
Because everyone wants to know which is the swing, you know. So the swing next to it has there's the red ribbon, and then the suite directly next to it has an owl ornament hanging from it, and there are reports.
Okay.
They will watch the owl swing like crazy, even though there's nothing else is like moving, but that is. And there are reports of seeing swings move on their own too. Like, you'll just see all the other swings will be calm, and then you'll see one just like violently shaking, like back and forth, and then you'll like pay attention or walk near it, it'll stop, and you're like, it's a little sus. And then people also spot her hanging out, especially in her dress that she allegedly died in. So this place was actually featured on Scariest Places on Earth. Do you remember that show we would watch?
I do. Yes, that was like one of my favorite shows.
Yes, this was one of the places that they went to. You can actually still tour this place today. On weekend nights in October, they are having what they call the Dark Carnival, which is what I had wanted to attend when I was there. But
that sounds like awesome.
Where we were in West Virginia, even if we did go, it was like a 2.5 hour drive. And by the time we had to like check into our Airbnb, we literally would not have gotten home until like probably midnight. So it didn't make sense for us to go. But I do want to go back because even not during October, they have things where you can rent out the entire place. And just like camp there, which is really cool. Oh, they also have a haunted house attraction right now during October, and they have night tours of the park, which is kind of cool. Which is originally what I wanted to do, was go on the night tour. I was like, I cannot rationalize 5 hours of driving.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Like, it just would seem like so
just
long.
To do that, and it wouldn't even guarantee that you were going to get it.
Yes, because that was another thing, was we don't know, because they sell out. And that's probably the only big attraction in that area, if I had to take a guess. Especially because I've seen how West Virginia is. There are like a few big cities, rural. But even the big cities aren't that big.
And it's very hilly.
Super. So I was like, if we had gotten there like exactly on time, maybe. But I was like, I'd rather just explore the there was a graveyard on at the castle property too.
Interesting. Did you find out who the people were?
It was probably like a family property. It was you couldn't get in, but we could see like over the fence that it was right next to the farmhouse. So I was like,
you guys should have went out there and gone exploring
at night. We should have walked around at night.
I know. Why didn't you?
We were afraid there was someone staying in the house, and it's literally you could see us from the house.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't, because like they have giant glass windows.
Oh, wow.
And if I was confident that there weren't people there, it's an active farm.
Well, why didn't you go? So, I know, but why didn't you? I would have went and tried to see if anybody had booked it for that night.
I mean, I guess I could have. I don't know. I was just paranoid.
No, I got you.
But
I'm probably also next time you go back, now you know.
I'm gonna ask her if she really has had Bigfoot sightings, because that was on the website.
Cool.
Just so I can go Bigfoot hunting.
Yeah.
Oh, this is related to Bigfoot. So when I was Bigfoot hunting, or when I was walking through the woods, I call it, with Savannah, because we were just exploring.
Yeah.
We found this really interesting, like, almost like nest shelter thing.
You sure it wasn't for deer?
You could tell. No. It was like something knocked over a tree and then stacked like, it kind of looked like a Boy Scout thing, but it was in the middle of the woods where no one has access to, so it was kind of weird.
Huh. That is
weird.
But
anyways, so I was listening to an episode of Astonishing Legends, like, a few days ago.
Yeah.
And one of the people on the they had, like, a listener come on and talking a story about Bigfoot or something.
Uh-huh.
And they described a very similar object, and when I went to look at the photo, it looks identical to the hut that I found out in the woods.
Did you take pictures of this hut, by the way, when you were in the woods?
Yes, I have photos of it.
All right, well.
And I compared the two, like, I was looking at them both, and I was like, they look very similar.
Well, send me
and
a
I
picture
even went
of
inside
photo.
of the
I
nest.
want to see it.
Because it looks, you can tell clearly something with intelligence made it, the way it's stacked. I've never seen an animal make this.
Right. Well, they have to have opposable
it was
thumbs in order to be able to do that, don't they?
Yeah, I didn't really think much of it, but then I heard that story, and we'd already had some weird experiences out in those woods.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I kind of want to go back and go poke around the nest to see if it's changed any. Because I documented photos of it, so we can tell if it's changed since we went there last. Nice. I did tell the lady who owned the property just to, like, because in case there's, like, a squatter up there or something.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, definitely.
But I didn't see any, like, garbage.
Right.
Which you would think, like,
a
homeless person or, like,
something. Yeah,
they would
leave
garbage.
Yeah.
And there was none. It was just, like, I took photos of it. The only thing that we did find that was kind of weird was there were just, like, random piles of wood.
Huh.
But, like, it was clearly chopped wood, so we know that there's a farmer that, like, attends to it, but why would someone just build that in the middle of the woods?
I don't know. Weird.
If you're supposed to be working on the farm. I don't know. I can send the photo to you. It's really...
Yeah,
after I looked at the two,
cool.
it was very identical.
Sounds cool.
Well, is there anything else you have?
No, I think we just wanted to tell people to check out our podcast, or to tell people about our podcast during this holiday Halloween season. This is the best time.
Yeah, this is our best time to binge the show or watch it. So, like, if you guys are going to any Halloween parties this weekend, because I'm going to 2, so I know this weekend and next weekend are, like, prime Halloween parties.
Yep.
So, you know, if you want to mention it, if other people are like, I want some spooky, scary content.
Yep.
Be like, oh, check out this podcast I listen to, because that's word of mouth is how podcasts spread.
Yep, exactly.
Or, you know, share it on your social media page or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these 2 scaredy cats.